better planned. Well, we'll go drink some beers in a bit, but
that'll work.
Other than that, okay, we're live. Hey!
Hi,
everybody. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hey, none of that here.
No, not hallelujah. Hallelujah. It's different.
Hallelujah. Oh, I see what you've done there.
That's the hip hop version, sir. The hip hop version. Don't misquote me.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm cool with the hip hop version, man. If it's good music, I like it. If it's shit music, I don't like it.
That's the point. That's the truth. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's what. When I worked for a company called Sam the Record Man for many years.
Oh Jesus, that goes back.
Oh yeah, right in Richmond Square, Richmond Center.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys that I worked with was going, "Oh, this is fucking garbage, and this is shit, and this is." I'm like, dude, fucking chill out, okay? These people, because being a musician myself, I said these people, they work hard at making their music. It's not like they come in there and they're fucking Thanos with the Infinity Glove and go, "There's a tune." They work hard at this shit, right?
Yeah, back then maybe.
well, no, still it takes some doing, man. I've sat in recording studios for hours on one song, right? Just getting vocal tracks down or guitar tracks or whatever. But and it's a labor of love, and you may not like it, but don't call it shit. Just say, hey, this isn't my cup of tea. I prefer this, and don't call it shit because you're actually literally insulting somebody's income or their living or their love or
their art.
Yes, there you go. That's much better, much more eloquently than I thought.
It's still shit.
I'm sorry, dude, but I'm gonna have to insist that James Blunt is terrible.
Well,
yeah, I'll give you that. but you have to admit that Mike Oldfield is the unsung guitar god.
Oh yeah, he's got some skills, like mad skills. And I'm always been surprised that he wasn't bigger than he was. I mean,
in North America, he's pretty big in Europe.
Yeah.
Who was this again?
Mike Oldfield, Tubular Bells.
Yeah, that's his big one. That's the big one. I still have that on LP somewhere here.
I got it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead, Duke.
It's all right. It's all right.
These conversations are a little tricky because it's like, when do I jump in? When do I not? I was going to say, you want to like really see like the merit of a piece of music. Listen to it played in a different medium. Taylor Swift put out that record, was it 1989 or something like that? And a lot of people were really trash talking it. I'm not a big pop fan, but then Ryan Adams took it and redid the entire record as alt country, and it's freaking genius.
Really?
It's genius, man. Yeah, it's really good. So it's like, well, you got to give the song some merit. It's just, if you're hearing it in one style and that happens to be a style that is grating to you, somebody does it in a different style, it might change the entire feel of the song. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that can happen, man. When you let somebody takes over and redoes a song, like anytime I hear that somebody has redone a classic song, I always want to hear it because there's the potential for it to sound really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Or be terrible. Like, I want to hear it just to know whether or not I need to be pissed off.
Yeah, exactly. And that's true. That's very true.
Oh, shit. I lost my goddamn webpage.
Well, some of the most famous songs are covers, what is that song? All Around Me are familiar faces. Mad World. Yeah. Gary Jules does it. That was originally Tears for Fears.
Yes. Yep.
And
I love that cover version.
Yes, it's amazing. It's an amazing freaking cover. That's one of those outshines the original covers.
What about Johnny Cash's version of Hurt?
Oh, I fucking love that. You know what? You know what's funny about that one? What's his name?
Trent Reznor?
Yes, thank you. He said, you know what? Cash fucking owns that song.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he also covered a bunch of stuff, but his cover of Danzig's 13 is amazing also.
Yes.
Yeah. Then no.
Then Rusty Cage fucking doing Soundgarden stuff like Rusty Cage or no. Who was it? Cash did Rusty Cage, I'm sure.
Well, Cash did Rusty Cage, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Good.
Well, Cash in his later years was beyond belief.
You know, that's all because of Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
Yep.
All because of Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin was like, came across, and Johnny Cash was struggling. He couldn't sell any records, and nobody was giving him any props. And he's like, Rick Rubin was like, dude, this guy's a legend. This guy is Americana music. Well, I can't let this die. So he took him under his wing, and he's like, look, here's what we're going to do. I got this guy, Glenn Danzig. He wrote the song 13. You're going to cover that. You know what I mean? We're going to change it up a little bit and modernize your sound a little bit. And it just worked like gangbusters.
Yeah.
Johnny has his voice that's like a punch in the chest, you know?
Yeah.
That it is.
Yeah. Cash has always been one of my favorites. Ever since I first heard him at like 3 years old, I think. I kept asking my mom. She tells me, play Cash, play Cash, play Cash.
Yeah, I was lucky when I was a kid. My dad, much to my mother's chagrin, but she actually, in the end, was okay with it, went out and bought a stereo. You got to remember, this is back in the late 60s, early 70s. And we had Johnny Cash. We had all the rock guys. Who else was there? Brian, what was it? Eric Burton and the Animals.
Yeah.
Zeppelin. We had the Beatles. We had Johnny Cash. What's his name? Did the Battle of New Orleans. Johnny Horton? Johnny Horton. Mongo Jerry. I'm growing up with this shit.
In the summertime.
In the summertime, and give me this, give me that, give me. Yeah. But before that, there was give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that.
Oh, yeah. Give me this, give me this, give me that.
So I was exposed to that when I was early. I mean, Simon and Garfunkel, the whole, it's Bridge Over Trouble. I was exposed to this when I was younger. I mean, we only had 3 channels on TV, and 2 of those were fuzzy.
2 of those are mostly background radiation noise. Right?
Yeah, basically, On a good day,
talking to spirits in the other world.
Yeah. So so we had. I mean, music was big, and then when I got younger, when I got a little bit older, like 14, 13, I was going out and buying albums. I'm buying. Now, I don't know if you guys ever heard of these guys, but the Moody Blues.
Oh,
yeah,
of course.
Nights in White Satin and. There's one song by Moody Blues I absolutely love, and I can't think of the name of it right now.
Well, there's hundreds of them, but they can't. I mean, the first Moody Blues song was "Go Now," and that was then they changed it up, and they did "Nights in White Satin" or "Days." The album's called "Days of the Future Past." Followed it up with "On the Threshold of a Dream," which I just absolutely adored, and "Threshold of a Dream," and what was the other one? Threshold of the Dream. Oh God, I can see it. It's there. The Threshold of the Dream. It had Ride My Seesaw. Anyways, I had an 8-track in my car. I had a 64 Chevy 6-banger. It's a piece of crap. This is about 76. So I had an 8-track. Craig Power plays in the back, and I'm playing these music, and it's just wonderful. But the Moody Blues, it just blew my mind away.
I think the Moody Blues song. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the Moody Blues song I love so much is called "Question."
Oh yeah, from the album. Yeah, that's
Question of Balance.
Question of Balance.
I think
actually, I think that's
because I think it is just called "Question." It's like, what do we ever find?
That's not off Question of Balance. That's off. If I'm not mistaken, that's after Every Child Deserves a Good Favor. And it's that real boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So, but one of their best songs was "I'm Just a Singer in a Rock and Roll Band."
Well, according to
I might be wrong. Yeah.
Google, A Question of Balance had that song on it.
Okay, I was wrong.
The B-side was Candle of Life.
What about Faces?
Faces, the band, or the album?
The band. Like the song, Stay With Me.
Yeah. There's also
it's Small Face, but this is Rod Stewart's band before he became just Rod Stewart.
Yeah,
he did Maggie May.
Yeah,
he did with Jeff Beck and Ronnie Wood tearing it the hell up on the slide guitars. Oh, both of them, dude. Ronnie Wood is a freaking monster slide guitar player, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I got an odd phone call earlier of a phone number I do not recognize.
I don't answer those.
I don't either.
Nope.
I just assume they're going to tell me something I don't want to hear, and then so I just say, I'd rather not talk to you, so I'm not going to.
I think it was the Illuminati trying to shut this stream down again.
Yeah, man. It's the American Evangelicals.
Oh, those bastards, fuckers.
Yeah, I agree with you, though. Man. They are a problem here in the States. I would honestly say that they are amongst, if not the most powerful political movement in the States, man. The Evangelicals are absolutely organized and ridiculously powerful, man. They've got so many years.
And they're motivated.
And they are motivated. And they're right now they're empowered.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a perfect storm of shit. We have a perfect shit storm going on in America right now where a lot of what we hold dear is absolutely in jeopardy of going away.
Yep.
And that's just going to spread. Yeah. And that sucks.
Well, not much you can.
Let's hope not.
Well, I don't see much hope, to be honest.
I don't either. That's my point. I'd love to have hope, but every day I'm seeing it get worse and worse. And when you're seeing people have, if you went back 10 years, like people would have been scared to death to walk around just spewing racism.
Yeah.
Out in front of God and all their people. Nowadays, they'll just do it.
Oh, yeah.
They're just too empowered to be bigots.
And every day you see on Twitter people trying to shame these people, and there's just so many of them.
Yep.
Do you guys watch the Liberal Redneck?
What was that?
Do you guys watch the Liberal Redneck on YouTube?
No, never heard of him.
Nope, me either.
You should totally watch the Liberal Redneck. He is one of the funniest guys on the platform. And his takes are hilarious. They're great. They're great. They're really great. I'll try to remember to shoot you guys a link to a couple of his best videos when we get off the stream.
Sounds good. Yeah, I don't know. The U.S. politics. Everybody's got their hopes for November. I don't see it.
A lot of people. Yeah, I was going to say a lot of people don't see that blue wave coming.
No, I don't. I see if I expect it to peter out. Back in 2012 in BC, we had a Liberal government, well, Liberal in name only, run by a girl called Christy Clark.
Mm-hmm.
And she was despised beyond belief. I mean, even conservative bloggers were going after her. They wanted her gone.
Mm-hmm.
And
she was crooked as fuck.
Oh, yeah, she was. And her party was crooked. And people here in BC were just fed up. Everybody was expecting a change. They all said it's going to be a change. It wasn't a question of if the Liberals were going to lose, but by how much. Was it going to be a wipeout like the NDP in the 2000 or the Socreds in 1990, 91? Everybody expected a total, utter wipeout. 14 May 2012, my 52nd birthday. I'm watching the returns, expecting to have a happy time. And they get the Christy Clark Liberals are returned to power with a stronger majority.
Yeah, and nobody saw that coming, or at least we thought we wouldn't see that coming.
No, and the reason being is, one, there was vote splitting on about 12 key ridings, which allowed the Liberals to come up the middle. And two, the turnout was horrendous. People were just so burned out from it all. They just tuned it out, and they thought it was a done deal, so they stayed away from the polls. Yeah. But the other side, they were motivated, they were driven, and they showed up at the polls. They got the vote out, and we woke up for another 4 years of bloody Clark. And I see that happening in November.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of hope for it. I know a lot of people are hoping heavily for 2020. The funny thing is they're working their butts off to try to kick Trump out of office. And as much as I despise Trump, I mean, I loathe the man. He does not frighten me really so much as Pence.
What the hell happened here?
I think you're a little too close to your mic, mate.
Am I?
Yeah.
I'm using my headset. Am I?
That's
Is that better?
Yeah, it's better.
Oh, sorry. but what I was saying is, as much as I despise Trump, I mean, I do despise that man. He does not frighten me nearly as much as Pence does. Like Pence scares the pure shit out of me. So the idea of getting Trump out of office and putting Pence in the seat of power is, to me, we're almost at a point of a lesser of two extreme evils. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see Pence take power. I also think that Pence has a better chance of retaining power in 2020 than Trump does. I think he fits more closely into the evangelical right-wing ideal than Trump does. Realistically,
I don't think Trump is very religious at all.
He's not.
No, that's the point. That's my point. Is that Pence certainly is. He's not just religious; he's fanatical. You know, this is a man that believes, that voted for electroshock therapy gay conversion. This is the man that is absolutely devoted to silencing atheists. He frightens. I would much rather ride out till 2020 with Trump and then just work my butt off and see everybody else work their butt off to get the entire party removed from power than to see Trump get impeached and us have several years of Pence at the helm. That guy frightens me.
Yeah, it's not exactly a good second choice, is it?
No, it's not, and I have to concur. Pence also is a fucking end timer. He's Catholic and he's an end timer. He would love. I mean, I can see numbnuts Trump pushing a button in a fit of pique or anger or just to prove he got big balls. Pence, on the other hand, he would do it just to hearken the second coming.
Yep.
Absolutely, and the hell with that shit. I like to take pictures of Pence and like him, and I like to do Ted Cruz too. I like to take pictures of them and put them in a makeup generator and gussy them up, and then tweet them for them.
Yeah, it's too bad his priest didn't split him wide open when they had the chance.
It's hard to have any grace for those guys, man. It really is, because they're so damn hateful. It's the same thing I'm running into now, like with this new Catholic scandal, you know, with the 6 dioceses up in, Philadelphia, and they were they were organized. It wasn't just 1 or 2 priests like molesting a kid. It was a metric dickload of them, and they were actually putting special crosses on the ones that they found to be most susceptible to manipulation.
Yeah,
and
little gold ones.
So they can be identified. And we're pointing this out, and the Catholics are like, well, the problem is we've allowed homosexuals into the Catholic Church. And it's like, that's insane. You're insane. Like, there's no correlation between the two things. And we've proven this over and over again. You're just not, at this point, you're just being obtuse. You know, or they'll say, well, you know, if we don't really want to talk about it because it brings shame on the church, and then people won't go to church, and then they'll go to hell, you know? And it's like, well, if there's any evidence that the doctrine of eternal damnation is absolutely incompatible with modern society and human flourishing, it's that. It's the fact that we will allow child rape to happen and not talk about it and not expose it and not take these men to the fucking wall over it because, well, people might not go to church if they find out.
Yeah, I'm going to... What was that?
Sorry, I'm going to mute myself here for a second because I can switch over to my phone to carry on this conversation so I can go outside and have a cigarette because we can't smoke inside. So,
oh, life sucks for you, doesn't it?
Shut up, Mr. Ex-smoker.
Oh, you're one of those. You're one of those freaky ex-smokers.
Yeah, I'm also one of those pricks that thinks vaping is for queers.
Well, it's a good thing I'm a queer. I've already said that one of the things I love most about my vapor is that it resembles a robotic dick.
There you go. Gay. If you're gonna
all day.
If you're gonna smoke something, smoke the real hot one.
I'm gay all day, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, anyways, what? Oh Jesus, he's going walkabout. Look at that. He's showing us his place to live.
Oh, no, there you are.
He's showing us his badass freaking sideburns and mustache and shit.
See,
I'm in awe of that every time I look at it, man.
Yeah. See, I know where he lives. I know the area he lives in. And
yeah,
he's a very brave man to go out for a cigarette. I'm surprised he isn't mugged.
Why? What are you talking about?
Queensboro?
Yeah. It's different now, dude. It's not the same as it used to be.
I know. They gentrified it. They beautified it. They made it sweet and clean. It's so boring. I remember there used to be a pub out there all by its little lonesome.
Yeah, it's still there. It's Frankie G's.
Yeah, but it used to be such a scuzzy place to go to. It was fun.
Oh, that's funny. You talking because it used to be a bad area?
Oh yeah, it was rough.
It was like the slum of New Westminster.
Yeah, if you couldn't go to Saperton, you went to Queensboro.
Right. That's funny. 'Cause I grew up in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and around really rough areas. Like I grew up around like pimps and prostitutes and crackheads and dealers and all that crap. So it's like whenever I'm in some bad area of town, I don't even notice it. I'm just like, oh look, it's just another area of town. Like I don't even. It doesn't even confront me.
Yeah.
It's just I'm just used to it at this point. It's just like, you know, for the most part, if you're in a rough part, if you just mind your business, keep to yourself.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the same down here in Vancouver. We have an area called the downtown East Side, which is really rough. I mean,
oh yeah.
Yeah, Vancouver is in Vancouver you'll have some of the most expensive postal codes or zip codes that you call in the US. And butted up right next to them is the most poorest postal code in Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's exactly how Fort Worth is. I used to describe it like this: like if you're in Dallas or if you're in Fort Worth, Texas, you are always, and I mean always, one wrong left or right turn away from getting mugged or carjacked.
Yeah.
You could be in an area with $3.5 million houses, make 2 right turns, and you're in the hood. There's a guy selling crack on the corner. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
In broad daylight. Like, he's just not even afraid because the police aren't going to bother him because they don't even go in there. You know, it's like, it's nuts.
Yeah, that's kind of like Vancouver. Mind you, Vancouver's, I mean, I always felt safe walking around in downtown East Side. I used to do it quite a bit just for the shits and giggles. It was a good show.
Good show.
Oh, fuck yeah. You can see some really weird ass shit down there. Mind you, I was young. I'm 6'3" and, you know, big. So who's going to fuck with me?
Well, not too many people.
And I'm also wearing a leather riding jacket, and boots. So he kind of signals, no, don't fuck with him.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny because I used to walk around the rough neighborhoods of Fort Worth, Texas, in a dress. So I have my steel-toed boots and I used to always keep a couple of rolls of quarters that I would black tape. I'd put X's of tape on the end so they wouldn't break, and I just put them in my hands. And you know, if you connect with an overhand right with a handful of quarters, I don't care if it's Muhammad, I'm hard Bruce Lee, they're going down, dude.
Yeah, it's like they're in plumb brass knuckles, man.
Yeah, I never liked that. What I used to do was put have my hand in my pocket with my keys, or the keys coming out through the fingers.
That does it too. That does it too. I kept 2 rolls of quarters and one of those old style breakaway blade box cutters in the orange, like the orange box cutter.
Yeah.
So you can run the whole blade out of it. Yeah. I never had to use that. I did pull it out a couple of times. Yeah. And the person bothering me decided that I wasn't worth their time.
I used the keys 2 or 3 times. It worked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've done the key trick too.
Yeah.
I think one of the funniest things not funniest, but I used to be a bouncer, and one of the clubs that I worked at, this guy just would not stop trying to pick a fight with me. And I finally had to escort him out of the bar. And he's kicking and screaming the whole way. He's like half my size. He comes.
Oh, fuck.
I send him up. He runs to his car. He comes back, and he's got one of them fishing bats, you know, with a hook on the end of it.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah,
so he tries to take a swing at me with that. I just grab the bat out of his hand with one hand, and the other hand I have my thumb like this, and I pushed it into his eye socket and popped out his eyeball. And then I gave him a glass of tepid water to put his eyeball in, and then he could go to the hospital and get it put back in. But as soon as somebody's looking at you with one eye and their shoe with the other one, the fight's over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true, too.
I used to hate
that. You can actually do that with your pointer finger, too. I mean, if you poke somebody in the globe That's a fight ender. If you take your palms and slap them into their bottom, into their chin in an upward angle as hard as you can, especially when they're talking, when their mouth is open, so you clack their teeth together real hard, that's a fight ender. They don't want any more trouble after that. If you throw your hammer fist, like the inside of your fist, and hit them behind the ear, that's a fight ender. They don't want any more trouble after that. And there's things you can do. I mean, the problem with it is, like, I personally despise violence.
Unless it's necessary, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm the furthest thing in the world from a pacifist. I'm not a pacifist at all. But I hate it. Like, every time I've ever been in a fight, I've been thinking at some point during the fight, I would rather be getting some pussy right now. I would rather be getting laid than be in this fight. That would be so much more desirable than the situation I'm in. But it is good to know, like, what you can do to defend yourself in a bad situation, because there are people out there that are they're intractable. They're not going to back down until you back them down. And you could either be the aggressor or you can be the victim. And I'd rather be the aggressor. I'd rather be tried by 12 and carried by 6.
You see all this here?
Oh, that smoke? Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, that fucking smoke that we're dealing with here.
I was going to say, you don't even need a cigarette, man. Just go outside and take a breath of the air.
Yeah, there's an air quality warning. I'm air quality warning. It's just hickory smoke flavored air.
Yeah, I went out today to go up to 7-Eleven to go get the retirement fund, aka the lotto. And Jesus, my car was covered in this shit. I washed it 2 days ago.
Covered? Oh well, they're saying that they're particulate matter.
Yeah, very fine.
Yep. And that's not really good to inhale.
No. It can cause cancer, emphysema, lung disease, all kinds of nasty things.
Yeah, which is kind of, I've had a lung infection before, and they're fucking terrible.
That they are.
They had to go in through my back with a needle and suck the shit out, and that was got to be one of the most painful things I've ever experienced in my life, because they can't actually knock you out. You have to be awake.
Oh.
Ooh, nasty. I don't like that.
I'm gonna cut back into the other one now. So.
All right.
For me, it was acute pancreatitis. I had a kidney stone and acute pancreatitis. My pancreas swelled up so much that you could almost, like, it was like a big lump. It was awful. I dropped from 215 pounds to 172 pounds in 18 hours.
Holy shit! I could go with that kind of diet right now. Shit.
Trust you, buddy. There's better ways. I got to the hospital after 18 hours because I didn't have insurance at the time, so I was just trying to muscle through. My hope was that if I just suffered long enough, it would go away or it would subside and I'd get over it or whatever. And then after about 18 hours of it and just being delirious with pain, finally I was like to my ex-wife, I was like, you guys take me to the hospital. We can't avoid it. I think I'm dying here. And I got to the hospital and I was at the point where it's just like, look, just either give me something or just kill me. One of the two, because this is so bad that I'm not even interested in doing it anymore. It was just, brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Understandable, yeah.
Back to the subject. Can we go back to the subject of music, or is that, are we done with that?
No, I don't care.
Oh, fuck. Oh, go back to the music. I love music.
Yeah, me too.
So I love that. I love how you were talking about like how you learned about music. And my background with it was kind of the same way. It was very diverse. Like my mother was really into like the old school Beatles and the Everly Brothers. She was really into that kind of stuff, like the Ventures. We used to listen to the Ventures, Walk Don't Run, and we would ride around and listen to that stuff all day. My dad was really into Elvis and Waylon Jennings and that kind of thing. Dwayne Eddy, you know.
Oh my God! Somebody actually knows Dwayne Eddy.
Yeah, dude.
Dwayne Eddy. Have 20 Guitar Will Travel, one of my favorite albums.
Then we have, what was it? My sister was really into like folk music, so through her I learned about like Jim Croce and James Taylor.
Yeah.
But my first love was metal. Like my mother told me that when I was a toddler, whenever it came time for nap time, she would put Blizzard of Oz by Ozzy on. and I'd go in there and go to sleep. Like I wouldn't go to sleep unless you put Blizzard of Oz on.
Wait, Duke, you were a toddler when Blizzard of Oz was out?
He's young. Yeah. Come on, you can tell that from his voice.
I was born in 1978, man.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, that's the sad thing is he's young enough to be my son. Actually, his 3-year-old brother's young enough to be my son.
Well, that would have been a shame.
Ouch.
I'm just kidding. I'd be happy to be your son, you grumpy old fucker. It'd be fine.
No, I'm a miserable father. Trust me. That's why I never had kids. I learned I knew long ago that there are people who are breeders and have children, and there are people like my father and myself.
But
your father apparently caved in.
Yeah, he did. Unfortunately, 5 times that I know of. 6.
5 times.
At
fertile.
Yeah, like at 11 years old. Like I was a kid at 11 years old at the skating rink that would be pissed off until they played Faith No More. Like I wanted to hear Metallica and Faith No More or Megadeth. I wanted to hear that stuff. And like they would, whenever the kids were out there singing, like they had a lip sync battle one time, and they were out there lip syncing to what's the New Kids on the Block, and I was just like,
fuck off.
I was incensed. I was like, this is the worst thing ever. And you were talking about coming into music later. I remember about 1990. I was living in Fort Worth, Texas, and everything on the radio was power ballads. I guess all you could hear. It was "I'm the One That Wants to Be With You" by Mr. Big or "Take Me Home" by freaking Motley Crue. It was just these power ballads. "Can You Take Me High Enough?" All this crap. My buddies and I were just sick to death of it. We didn't care for it. We were listening to the weirdest shit ever. And I remember like one day I'm watching and "I'm the One That Wants to Be With You" by Mr. Big is on. And I'm just like, if I hear this song again, I'm going to die. I'm just going to die. And the next song that came on MTV was "Smells Like Teen Spirit" by Nirvana. Yeah. And my whole worldview changed. And I never heard that damn song again. I never heard "I'm the One That Wants to Be With You" again. I loved it.
Another one that was really big was Extreme's.
Yeah, More Than Words.
Yeah, More Than Words. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of tuned out of the music by that period. I was strictly. I'm going to stay with the stuff I know. 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s.
Yeah.
No.
We were just weird shit like Frank Zappa and whatever we could get our hands on that was not mainstream, that was not the shit that was playing on the radio. And then Nirvana dropped, and then right after that, Soundgarden dropped. I bought Bad Motor Finger. I heard Outshined one time, and I harassed my dad into taking me to the record store. I was like, I've got to have this album.
Oh shit! I was listening to Soundgarden since Ultra Mega OK. So
yeah.
Well, you're the coolest guy in the room.
Living as close to Seattle as we do here. We got a wind of that shit long before most of the rest of the world did. Because I would go down into Bellingham all the time to a place called Cellophane Square, where they had LPs and all kinds of shit, and I bought a bunch of albums down there, including some obscure shit like the Grunt Truck we were talking about the other day.
Oh yeah, man, Grunt Truck is a great band.
Yeah.
They were originally called Skin Lab. Although the guy that the frontman for Grunt Truck was originally in a band called Skin Lab.
Yeah, with Matt Cameron.
Yep.
Yeah. And the U-Men, which was even before that, because I think a bunch of them were together in that band too. And then there was Green River.
Malfunction.
Malfunction, yeah.
And those two bands merged to become Mother Love Bone. And then Andrew Wood died of an overdose, and Eddie Vedder stepped in, and you picked Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I met Eddie Vedder. I didn't even know who he was, and I was drinking beer with him. It was pretty cool. That was pretty cool, man. I can't remember the name of the place that we met at. Shit, it was an old place. Fucking, it no longer exists.
Most of them gone now, aren't they?
Yeah. Shit, I can't remember what it was called. I look at my old concert ticket stubs from way back then, and all the ink is fading on them. So I don't even know who the fuck I went to anymore.
Oh man, I've seen so many shows. On that freaking in that realm, I'm actually pretty blessed because like I got to see there's groups that I got to see live just because of where I live. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Reverend Horton Heat.
Yes, I have. Absolutely.
I've met him. He's from my hometown. So I got to see him live multiple times. There's just bands from Pantera is a big one. Pantera is a hometown. Yeah, like my brother's band beat Pantera at a Battle of the Bands in 1986 before Phil joined.
You're kidding me.
I kid you not, man.
That's hilarious. I thought didn't Reverend, he had to move up to Seattle to get noticed, didn't he?
Maybe. He was huge in Texas. Like, I was 12 years old and had Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em. Like, I was a kid and I had Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em and was listening to that. I don't know. I think most of his stuff just came from touring, mad touring. He might have gone up to Seattle, but I don't know that end of the story. I'm not, I can neither confirm nor deny.
I thought some of his shit was released on Sub Pop.
Was it?
With Brian. Yeah, I you know what? I'm going to double check that. I could be wrong, but I thought for sure that some of it was released on Sub Pop.
I thought he started off on Island Records, which was a independent label in Texas.
Very, very big on it.
Because that's where Trippin' Daisy got started.
Yep.
And I saw them. I grew up with them. Like, those guys were local heroes as well. Like Tim DeLauder, who's now in a band called Polyphonic Spree, which is actually just the 3 surviving members of Trippin' Daisy and like a whole bunch of other people. He worked at like Blockbuster Music, and we used to go in there and fanboy over him.
Shit, he's still going, man.
Oh yeah, him and Jimbo. Yeah, dude, he's still out there.
Man, I feel so old. I have no clue who these people you're talking about.
Oh, do you like rockabilly? Do you like rockabilly music?
Yep, some of it, sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's basically Reverend Horton Heat is just rockabilly.
Yeah.
He's just.
You mean like Buddy Holly?
No,
like Brian Setzer kind of thing.
Like if Brian Setzer had venereal disease.
Yeah.
Like if Brian Setzer had venereal disease, he'd be Reverend Horton Heat.
or like Nashville Pussy, maybe a little bit. Or the Super Suckers.
Completely clueless.
Okay.
I'm stuck in the 80s and the mid to late 80s.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, I'm old. You're
getting a fucking link to a Reverend Horton Heat video, buddy.
Yeah, well, I know the only thing that makes me happy is I know in a few years' time you'll be like me as well. Who the fuck are these people talking about? What the hell is this noise?
Are you kidding me? Sometimes I feel that way already.
Yeah, well, like I said, you're not that far away from me, are you?
No, I'm not.
You're like 6 years away. Pretty soon you'll be in your grumpy old chair, like letting music. What the fuck's this noise these kids are listening to? Christ. It was better in our day.
Have you guys heard Bill Burr talk about that?
Yeah.
The comedian? Well, Bill Burr talks to, he's like, I'm going to do college shows, so I was like, I'm going to listen to some of this music you're listening to nowadays. He's trying to listen to like the dubstep, Skrillex kind of stuff. It's like I made it all of 90 seconds. He's like, I made it all of 90 seconds, and I was like, this isn't music. Back when I was a kid, we used to dress like women and sing about the devil.
I don't know, man. I actually like some of that stuff.
Oh, I love it.
I
love it.
What I thought was the greatest thing was a few years back, the big battle between Skrillex and Deadmau5.
Yeah.
Did you see when Deadmau5 went to the awards with Skrillex's fucking phone number on his T-shirt?
I mean, dude, what's it called? What's that song? It's like Equinox First of the Year, and the video is like this pedophile following a little girl into a basement. She turns out to be a demon. And she like kicks his ass all over the basement with psychic powers. It's beautiful. I absolutely I love dubstep. I think it's great stuff. I don't differentiate that way. Like I love electronic music.
Yeah.
Okay. It's electronic music. Dubstep is electronic music, so I take it it's evolved out of techno.
Yeah, sort of. It's like a mix of techno and industrial almost.
Okay, so then it's got its roots in the new age music of like people like Guitar, Evangelicals, Michael, Phil.
A little bit. A lot of influences from those kind of things.
Yeah. Okay. Might be interesting. Then throw me a link to some of that stuff. I kind of like it. I like the instrumental music, the electronics.
Yeah, some of it's pretty good.
I can't think of his name.
A lot of deep bass though.
Yeah, that's a problem with a lot of modern music now. It's all boom, 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 bass. The one thing I liked about the music of my generation, quote, I'm getting old, is that there was a lot more mix into it. You had the guitars, you had the organs, the drums. The bass was there, but the bass was there to keep the time. Boom, boom,
you're
boom,
part of the
boom,
rhythm
boom,
section.
Boom, boom, and the drums, right?
Yeah.
And the rest is but now you listen to music and all you hear is boom, 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 boom. And you're not hearing the guitars, you're not hearing the organs, you're not hearing the synths.
Well, in electronic music, you're not going to hear a lot of that.
No,
it's
so
going to be synthesized stuff, right?
Yeah, I know the synths. Synths are fine, but when you get this heavy, overbearing boom, boom, boom of the bass beat.
I get where you're coming from. I've been a bass player since I was 17. So,
Shit, dude, why don't you live near me?
I know, right? I've been a bass player since I was 17, and I would say, all right. So the remix version is like a perfect bass line for me would be like the remixed version of James Taylor's "Something in the Way She Moves." If you listen to the bass line to that, it's perfect because there's just enough movement. You know that it's there, but it doesn't draw anything away from the song. You know what I mean? Like the song wouldn't be that song without the bass line. But unless you're a bass player, you don't even notice it.
What about John? Go ahead.
John Entwistle?
Yeah, him and Keith Moon together. They were John Entwistle was actually taking over the job of the drums, and Moon was taking over the job of the bass. They kind of mixing things up there. That was kind of neat.
Well, yeah, it's the same. It's the same as like the relationship between Geddy Lee and Neil Peart. Like there are times, but even Geddy Lee, as busy as he plays, he's never outside the scope of how busy he should be. No, because the drum line is that busy also. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things you have to learn the niche in the band that you're playing with. So if your drummer is phenomenal and he's kicking ass, you can absolutely step in there and step your game up. If you're playing like a mellow song that's laid back, you have to always remember as a bass player that the song is king. Like the song is the most important thing. It's not showing off your chops. It's absolutely staying inside of the pocket and being like that guy. Like I like guys like Larry Graham, who showed off by being able to hit just before or just after the beat and do these crazy, like they have the most simple bass lines ever, but they slam you in the face because they're hitting in places where you're not expecting them to. You know what I mean? It's the coolest thing ever. So it really does. And also you got to take into account with the Who that Pete Townshend's he's a great player, but he's not a great lead player. No. He might be the greatest rhythm guitar player of all time. Yep. But he's not a great lead player, and Entwistle stepped in to kind of take that heat off.
Yeah, he did. And they created this incredible, and they didn't really make that many albums, which is surprising. I think maybe like a dozen.
Well, I mean,
less than a dozen with the Keith Moon and Keith Moon.
Yeah, Entwistle is arguably the greatest rock and roll bass player of all time.
Yeah, he hit something there.
I mean, Entwistle is arguably the greatest rock and roll bass player. Rock and roll now. I mean, you got to give props to Geezer Butler, and you have to absolutely give props to John Paul Jones, because both those guys are monster guitar players.
Oh yeah.
But both those guys were in bands that had lead guitarists. You know, like what happens, like, and also like if you look at like a character like John Paul Jones, like not only was he a monster bass player, he played like a dozen other instruments. at any given time. He's on the mandolin. He's on whatever instrument they needed. Like, he was the guy that filled in every other aspect of the band. He played I think he was him that played the organ in Your Time Is Gonna Come. You know? So it was like, it's funny because there was a time when just being a bass player wasn't really enough. You had to be able to fill your chops in with something else and do other things. But like Entwistle didn't have to do that because fuck me, man. Who can play that shit? You have to have, I can't play Entwistle's bass line. Like, can you see the real me? No, I can play parts of it, but like those slides he does where he slides down the neck and he's like hitting on 4 different strings at the same time, like it's just insane.
Yeah. And I got to see them live.
Well, let's see. Greatest bass players of all time. Flea?
Flea is good.
Yeah,
Flea is great.
And then they got John Entwistle on there. They got John Paul Jones. They got Geddy Lee. They got Cliff Burton. Oh shit, Jaco Pastorius.
Jaco Pastorius.
Yeah, Victor Wood.
Jaco Pastorius is the fucking Jimi Hendrix of bass.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
all day.
Victor Wooten. Steve Harris.
Yeah, Steve Harris from Maiden.
Lemmy, Chris Squire. Geezer Butler, yeah, Billy Sheehan.
Billy Sheehan is a fucking beast. Bootsy Collins is a beast too. Billy Sheehan's a fucking beast. He played for Mr. Big. He played for Racer X. He does all of the recordings with Paul Gilbert. So anytime Paul Gilbert puts a record out, Billy Sheehan's the bass player on that record. He is phenomenal.
There's a lot of them on here, man. A lot of them.
There's some of that stuff that, like, I mean, like, Jaco Pastorius, for instance, like, if you listen to the song Portrait of Tracy, that changed bass forever. You know, that is the bass guitar version of, like, Little Wing or something like it, where people have emulated that more than they've emulated anything else in bass playing. It's absolutely just jaw-droppingly beautiful, and there was nothing like it until he did it. His use of harmonics in that song is just mind-boggling.
Pat Metheny. He's not really a bass player, though. Anyway, I'm surprised. There's one name on here I'm not seeing, and I am absolutely in shock.
Which name is that?
Les Claypool.
Oh yeah, Les Claypool's a fucking phenom too.
He's a beast.
He's a monster, and people don't like. A lot of people will talk a little shit about him here and there because he slaps the bass a lot. And
so,
you know, if you're a bass player, one thing that's true is that if you want to sound better than you actually are, get good at slapping, because slapping always sounds cool. You know what I mean? But the thing about it is that like 9 out of 10 bass players can't play Claypool shit, and they can't play Claypool shit sitting in their room with no distractions. They certainly can't play it and sing at the same time in a live setting. You know what I mean? Like, Claypool is monster bass player.
Well, here's the top 10 according to the top 10.
Well, those top 10s are kind of, well, you know.
Well, of course, they're all going to be different, really. But number 1 is Geddy Lee. Number 2 is...
I love Geddy Lee.
Cliff Burton is number 2. Flea is number 3. John Entwistle is number 4. John Paul Jones is number 5. And then Les Claypool is on this list at number 6. Steve Harris at number 7. Paul McCartney at number 8. I don't agree with that.
No.
I mean,
he's good, but he's not excellent.
Roger Waters is number 10.
What? McCartney's above Waters?
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense. Waters is a fantastic bass player. Waters is a character that is absolutely a master of perfect bass lines. Like, you listen to any Pink Floyd song and the bass line is perfect every single time. McCartney is amazing, though. He's an amazing musician. He's a great bass player. He's got a great ear for time. But And you also got to like give McCartney props because he was working with Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
You know, like Ringo's not a great drummer.
No, he's not.
No.
You know, so when you listen,
he was adequate. He was adequate for the period.
He was adequate. But, you know, it was funny because like when they were interviewing John Lennon, and they said, "Do you think that Ringo Starr is the best drummer in the world?" And John Lennon was like, "Ringo Starr's not even the best drummer in the Beatles."
I remember that interview, man. Fuck, talk about one guy in the music industry that I really miss is John Lennon. Yep. I mean, fuck, imagine the music that he, no pun intended, imagine the music that he would be making today.
Mm.
Yeah.
Probably not much. He'd be 80 years old. He'd be almost 80.
Well, yeah. But
I don't know, man. McCartney just put another record. McCartney put a record out a while back. It was pretty
fucking good. Wicked blues shit. Have you heard his blues stuff?
No, I haven't.
Unbelievable. Yeah, there's one where he gets up there and he's with who the hell is he with? Shit. The Rolling Stones guitarist, Keith Richards, and him, and I can't remember the other guys that are involved. There's a video link somewhere. I'll find it and I'll send it to you when I find it. But it's a wicked song, and it's like, I think he should have been a blues guy, to be honest. But you know, Beatles were great, and he was part of that. I mean,
oh, the Beatles are phenomenal. The Beatles are phenomenal. Every time somebody's like, I think they're overrated, I just see them on the other side. It's like, dude, those guys changed music not once, but like 3 times. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, like, it's like if you ask Ozzy, like Ozzy Osbourne, like, what inspired you to become a musician? He says, the Beatles. I saw them live on television. I was like, I want to do that. You know? And people are like, well, they were poppy, or they were this, or they were that. It's like, dude, have you ever actually stopped to listen to like Help? Just listen to the whole record. Like, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, those records are freaking amazing. Those guys were amazing. It's like Harrison, for fuck's sake. Like, Harrison wrote probably 3 or 4 of the greatest fucking songs of the 20th century, dude. So did John Lennon. So did fucking, like, 3 of the guys out of that band wrote multiple of the greatest songs of the 20th century. Like, how can you take anything away from them at all?
You can't. You're guaranteed when they do the top 100 every year, there's going to be at least 10 Beatles songs in that.
Exactly, and usually the top 10. Yeah,
well, we all know that "Hey Jude's" always up there.
Yeah, that's not even one of their better songs.
I know.
Not.
I mean, Norwegian Wood.
Yeah.
I mean,
Norwegian Wood's such a good song.
I love all their psychedelic shit, right? I think that's
Penny Lane.
Yeah. Helter Skelter.
Penny Lane is amazing. Helter Skelter is a great song. Penny Lane's a great song.
USSR.
Yeah.
Back in the USSR is the White Album is amazing, period. But Back in the USSR is a fucking great song. Dear Prudence is a fucking great song.
Oh, and that's probably one of my favorites right there, Dear Prudence. I'd love to redo that. I'd love for us to do that one.
That would be great.
Yeah.
We're thinking of songs we'd like to cover. So
how about Here Comes the Sun?
Yeah, Here Comes the Sun.
Every fucking morning at summer camp, that fucking song came over the airwaves every morning.
That's another thing.
Did you guys ever hear Nina Simone cover that?
No.
Nina Simone covered that, and it's amazing. That's a great cover. You know, that's a great song. Something in the Way She Moves. Yeah. It's another great Harrison song. You know, there's so many. I mean, like, there's so many fucking songs to pick from that are just life-changing, amazing songs that are influential as hell. You know, there's something to be said on both sides. Like, right? So the Beatles were hugely influential, and they were also hugely popular, right? But then you go to the other side, you see like the Velvet Underground, right?
Oh yeah, love Velvet Underground.
Oh, they're amazing. They weren't hugely popular in their time, right? But I want to say
more of a cult thing. They were
they
were big in the club sort of scene. Yeah,
they were Andy Warhol's favorite band at the time.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they made a few movies too.
Yep. Yep.
You know that song "How Does It Feel" by Bob Dylan. That the second verse is a reference to Andy Warhol.
Yes.
Could well be.
Because Bob Dylan hated Andy Warhol. but I think it was Tony Bennett that said, and I might be wrong, but I think it was Tony Bennett that said we were like, well, the Velvet Underground's first record only sold 3,000 copies. And I think it was Tony Bennett that said, yeah, but everybody that bought that record started a band.
yeah. I think that actually, you mentioned it. That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm a big fan of Lou Reed. I'm a big Lou Reed fan.
He had the voice.
Big Bowie.
Yep.
God, Bowie.
Oh, Bowie. Oh man.
Oh.
I saw again. It's another one I saw live. His what was it? The Magical, not Magical Mystery Tour.
That's the Beatles.
No. The one with China Girl. The album was called China Girl. Had China Girl on it.
Oh, that was Let's Dance.
Yeah, the Let's Dance tour, which was something magical. No, it was the Moonlight Mist, something tour like that. They filmed.
The something Moonlight. Yeah, which was at BC Place.
It was at BC Place. He came.
It was the very first concert in BC Place.
It was. Yep.
I was there too, my friend.
And he played that, and he liked it so much that when he went to film the documentary on it, they came back and had did more concerts.
Yep.
And my brother-in-law at the time was a drummer, a bit of a geek, goof, and a big Bowie fan. And he lucked out and got to meet Bowie.
No way.
And unfortunately, I was invited, but I couldn't get a break away from work in time.
What? I'd be like, I quit.
Well, yeah. Back then I had a car loan and rent and food
shit had to be paid for. Yeah,
food.
I quit a job over something like that once when I was a teenager. Like,
when you're in your 20s, you can't do that.
When I was probably 1991 or 2, my brother gave me Jane's Addiction's first record.
Oh, nothing shocking?
No, the first one.
That's not their first one. You're right. The one before that with the weird.
The one before that, it's actually a live record.
Yeah. Yes.
Like their first record is actually a live record, and he gave me that, and I was in love with them. And then I got Nothing Shocking, and then I got Ritual de la Habitual, and I was sitting there listening to them, and I was like, I've got to see these people live. And my brother was like, they broke up. Oh, I've seen them twice, but at the time, my brother was like, they broke up. They're no longer a thing. So I was like, fuck. You mean to tell me I'm never going to get an opportunity to see these guys live?
I saw them down in Washington State on the first Lollapalooza tour, along with Body Count.
Oh, I would have loved to have seen those. But they were broke up.
Fuck, are you?
That wasn't me.
That was Babe, sorry.
Oh. Beating up the keyboard?
Yeah, something was sticking and I had to break it loose.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, so mid-90s, they got back together for a reunion tour, and they had Flea playing the bass. Mm-hmm. And I was going to buy a ticket to the show, but I was scheduled to work that night. So instead of seeing them, I went and saw the Deftones, which was a great show. Yeah. It was a great show. The Deftones were amazing. I mean, like, I couldn't have seen a better show. It was like blow the roof off the place show. But then, like, I showed up for work the next night, and they're like, we don't need you.
You're fired.
We don't need you tonight. You can go home. So I called in dead the next day. No, that's literal. Like, I called my boss, Pete, and I was like, Drew's dead. A guy that looks just like him will be there in 2 weeks to pick up his last paycheck.
Guy that looks just like him.
I was pissed, but no, I got to see Jane's Addiction, and they did a redo of Lollapalooza in Atlanta, Georgia. I got to see them with Queens of the Stone Age, Incubus, a bunch of other bands. It was a great show. It was amazing. And then I got to see Nine Inch Nails opened up for Jane's Addiction in Charlotte, which was also an amazing show. I've seen Nine Inch Nails 3 times. And the first time I saw Nine Inch Nails, they filmed the video for Hurt.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was freaking great.
I saw them when they came here, and A Perfect Circle opened for them. The funny thing was, this Maynard from Tool was not facing. He was standing the opposite way of the crowd the entire show. His back was turned to the crowd.
Yeah, he does that. He's a weird guy.
Oh yeah, I've seen.
Oh, that's who else is that?
He was from Tool.
No. Eddie Van Halen does.
No, that Irish guy, Van Morrison.
Oh
yeah.
Van Morrison was famous for sitting up and just turning his back to the crowd and doing his entire act and then fucking off.
Well, apparently he used to suffer from stage fright.
Yeah.
So he had to turn around or else he'd fucking freak out.
Yeah. Well, you know who else was bad for stage fright? And you wouldn't believe it, but Freddie Mercury. He was in total terror before he went on stage.
Yeah.
That's hilarious because, like, I would cite Freddie Mercury in the top 3 greatest frontmen of all time.
Yeah.
Oh, voices, anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. Once he got on stage, he was fine, but he was just absolutely fucking terrified.
Yeah.
Of going on stage.
I used to be too when I first started doing this, but I got over that actually pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have any talents.
Speaking of Van Morrison, is there any greater musician than him? I mean, and like singer-songwriter, is there anybody that's better?
Even the voice? No.
I mean, just in general, just across the board. Like if you listen to the record Moon Dance, that's a flawless record.
Yep.
That's from start to finish. It's like Siamese Dream by Smashing Pumpkins. Like you can put Siamese Dream on.
All right, we can't be friends anymore.
Oh yes, we can. Don't you fucking talk shit about Siamese Dream, goddammit. That's a fucking flawless record, dude.
No, I like the one before it.
Oh, Gish?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Gish is a good record, but Siamese Dream is better, man.
No way.
The dynamics.
No way.
No way, man. The dynamics on Siamese Dream are amazing. The way that Billy Corgan stages the dynamics, where it goes from just being in your fucking face loud to being almost just as quiet as it can be.
They had that on Gish too.
Yeah, but Siamese is better.
Oh well. I don't know, man. That one we're gonna disagree on.
All right, I'm gonna
agree on that one, buddy.
I'm gonna mute for a second. I gotta go to the little boys' room. I'll be right back.
Oh, sure.
Well, he's buggered off too.
Who did?
Oh, no. Oh, shit. Hold on. Where's my mute button?
You're struggling. You're struggling, you grumpy old fucker.
You're all mute his ass. There you go. You're muted.
Did you know that Billy Corgan was in a band with Wayne Static before Smashing Pumpkins?
Yeah, I just can't remember what they were called.
Yeah, I don't know what they're called either, but that's just trippy to me. You know, because they're so different.
Oh yeah, but they used to be friends. So apparently they had a falling out, and that's why Billy started up Pumpkins.
Yeah.
And of course, Static X didn't come around for a few years after that, even. So.
Oh God, a long time after that. Like the first time I heard, Siamese Dream came out what, 91, 92? The first time I heard,
92, I think, yeah.
The first time I heard Static X was in the 2000s with
Really?
What's the name of the song? Yeah, the first time I heard them, I can remember it because initially I hated them. It's like He's a Loser. It's like I'm with Stupid. That's the name of the song. That came on. I was like, meh, not into it. And then I bought the record later on because I heard another song by them and I loved it. But yeah,
99 is when Wisconsin Death Trip came out, and that was their big break. But they've been together since '94, dude. So
Well, yeah, well, right, granted, but like it's one thing to be together. It's another thing to talk about when you actually chart. You know what I mean? So like they were together for a while, but like nobody outside of Wisconsin knew who the fuck they were for a good minute. You know what I mean? So it's like that's just when I heard them. When they came out, it was in '99. It was the same time that Mud Shovel by Stain came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which
Wisconsin Death Trip actually was their first album.
Right.
Like, they did a lot of touring, just doing other shit before that. So. And Mudvayne was pretty big back then too.
They were big, and it's funny because like that first record I thought was really good, but I hated everything they did after that. Like, it got to where it was like so whiny that I didn't care for it. It was like just too much crying in my beer. It was like
I don't know. I thought Shadow Zone was pretty good, but then they came out with Machine, and things started to change.
I still to this day think Mud Shovel is just a fucking great song.
Yeah, my band covers that from time to time.
Really?
Yeah.
If I had a band, one thing I would do, I would cover Jonathan Davis's song. What is it? I'm trapped in this world. I can't remember the name of it, but it's from Queen of the Damned.
Oh, from the movie? You mean the soundtrack?
Yeah. It was a terrible movie, but the soundtrack was fucking amazing.
Yeah, Queen of the Damned was mediocre.
Well, it's mediocre if you didn't read the book. If you read the books, it's fucking god awful.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're an Anne Rice fan, then yeah.
Yeah. If it's an Anne Rice fan, if you're an Anne Rice fan, it was a massive disappointment. Because I mean, like it's one of those things weird because it's being like I'm a big fan of her first 3 books on the vampire stuff and
Lestat, Queen of the Damned, and
Interview
with the Vampire.
And yeah, and it just like it just fell short. It just fell short of what was expected of it. You know, like it's one of those things where it's like this is not even true to the book. It's like you know, I didn't care for it, but the soundtrack was amazing. Jonathan Davis did a great job. I have an enormous amount of respect for Jonathan Davis as a musician. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's got a great voice. I think he uses his voice perfectly. And I can't think of the name of the song. Not Meant for Me. If I had a band, I would want to cover Not Meant for Me from that.
Hang on a second. I'm trying to figure something out here. Oops. Trying to figure the guy's name. Fuck, what's his name?
What's the reference?
Julian Sands. The actor, Julian Sands.
Yeah, he was in Warlock.
Yes, that's actually the movie I looked up to remember the guy's name. Did you know that Anne Rice, when she designed the vampire Lestat, that's the person that she had in her mind that she wanted to play the role of Vampire Lestat if they ever made a movie.
Here's an interesting thing about that. I did not know that she wanted that to be there, but when I read The Vampire Lestat and Interview with the Vampire as a kid, having seen the movie Warlock, I literally said, the only person that can play Lestat is Julian Sands.
Well, that's because when you read the description that she does of Lestat in the book, that's who I pictured anyways right away. And that's apparently who she pictured when she wrote the book. So, or
Julian Sands. Go ahead.
Yeah, she said that that's who she'd want to play because that's who she felt would embody the character.
Oh, he was perfect. He was perfect. I remember reading because I'm a huge. Well, I'm not as big a horror buff now as I used to be because I just don't watch movies like I used to. But up to about 1999, I had seen pretty much every horror movie that could possibly be seen. I was a huge fan of Gilbert Gottfried's Up All Night, USA Up All Night with Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
I I used to watch all the B horror movies. Like I watched everything, and so like Warlock. Oh yeah, man, Leprechaun, freaking. But
Critters.
even more yeah, Critters. Even more B movie than that, like Sorority Babes in the Slime Ball Bolorama. Hollywood
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Frankenhooker.
Tromaville movies. All the trauma movies.
All the trauma movies. Yes.
Toxic Avenger and Killer Tomatoes and Those are great.
Yeah, I love that shit. I love that shit. And all the Hammer movies back in the day. Yeah. Like I remember when what the Lady in Black, I think it's what it's called, with Daniel Radcliffe.
Mm-hmm.
It came out in the last little while, like probably the last 10 years. I remember just being super stoked because I was like, it's a Hammer film.
Yeah, and it was nothing at all like the original stuff.
No, but it was made by Hammer. It was a great movie, but it was made by Hammer Films, and I was just like, "Holy shit!" Hammer's put out they put out film. They put something new out. I'm so stoked to see this, and everybody around me was like, "I don't even know what that is." I'm like, "How do you not know Christopher fucking Lee as Dracula? How do you not know what that is?"
Vincent Price as a vulnerable Dr. Phoebes.
Yeah. Classic horror movies, classic stuff.
What? I can never remember his name. I don't know why, but he played Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars.
Peter Cushing. Peter
Cushing always played Van Helsing in the old Hammer.
Yep.
Yeah, and they had fuck's his name now? He was my gosh, come on. Now I'm having a brain fart here. Bela Lugosi.
Oh God, Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
That makes me every time somebody says his name, it makes me think of Bauhaus. Bela
Lugosi's dead, yeah.
I mean, my personal favorite Bauhaus song of all time is Stigmata Martyr. I mean, I was a goth. I was a goth as a kid. When I was young, I was a goth. Straight up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. Hair dyed black, teased out like Robert fucking Smith, wearing a dress, fishnets on my arm, steel-toe boots, the works. If you saw me now, it's like khakis and a pink button-down shirt. But
like the
I'm not too sure which is worse.
That's like the polar opposite of goth.
It is, yeah. Jesus. It's like, I don't know, what's the word? Metro gone wild?
I like being Metro, thank you very much. It gets me attention. So you can kiss my nuts. That's what you can do.
Oh, here we go. You threw a little lick in there for you, too.
Oh, thank you.
Never tempt me. Never tempt me. I'll take the offer. I may be straight as a fucking rail, but attempt is attempt. You know, like a dare is a dare.
Challenge accepted.
You got it. Got to go for it.
I always say, if you open the door, I'll sashay through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, what did I tell you I was going to wear to this meet?
What was that?
Well, it was a pink tutu, blonde wig, tiara, fairy wings.
All day. Why not?
Fairy wings and combat boots.
That's right.
Fairies wear boots, and you gotta believe me.
That's right.
I draw the line at the magic wand, though.
Oh, no way. You gotta have the magic wand.
No. I gotta draw the line somewhere.
It looks like Fairly Odd Parents there.
Something like that.
I pride myself.
Call me Wanda.
Yeah. Cosmo and Wanda. Fuck yeah.
No, just call me Wanda.
Oh.
I pride myself on being a guy that wear a dress and kick your ass in a fucking bar parking lot.
So basically, Klinger.
Yeah, Klinger. Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah, this.
Don't think because I'll touch a penis here and there that I won't fucking throw a right hand at the chin and knock your ass out in the fucking parking lot.
When my mother was in her, I don't know, late teens, early 20s before I was born, in the UK, they have something called teddy boys. And these teddy boys like to dress up in flamboyant clothes, either the ruffles. The mods took it over after a while, but the Teds were the first generation. Yeah. And they also carried, well, purses and handbags, which in the late 50s UK was kind of dodgy. But my mom was watching this, a bunch of rockers giving this Ted a real hard time. And apparently was asking him, what the hell you got in your purse, darling? Blowing him kisses. And then he nailed them both with his purse and dropped him. Opened up the purse and emptied it out, and there's a brick inside.
I have a similar story. It's very funny. So
that was supposed to be.
Friends of mine and I were in downtown Dallas. We were at this place called the Steak and Egg. Now, the Steak and Egg is in, for lack of a better way to say it, the Steak and Egg's in the...
Hello, Nadine.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Hey, Nadine.
Well, we're talking about disgusting stuff, but welcome to it.
It's okay. She's used to that shit here.
yeah, it doesn't matter. So who else here? Because I don't know Duke and
Neil.
Grumpy old bugger.
You know,
I think I got everybody. I haven't seen you before. I haven't seen you live before, and I was playing poker, so I didn't see your interview. I'm looking orange, aren't I?
Not many people did.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I didn't. I was playing poker. Poker comes first.
Yeah. It was more important. It was more important. He was just like, yeah, fuck this guy, Dick.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking orange though. I'm gonna have to fix that.
Well, Nadine, since you showed up, I'll keep it going for a little bit longer. But I just got texted. I'm supposed to be heading out to meet some folks for some sushi.
Ooh,
get me some. I haven't invited
nice.
her.
Nice.
I'll get you some, but I cannot promise it'll make its way to you.
No, you're like half an hour away from my house. I mean, how far would that be?
I got spits.
Okay, you got to go to Richmond for the good stuff. All right.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to either hit up Keisha Popo or sushi.
Have Keisha Popo have their Japanese style curry. In fact, bring me some. Oh, fuck! I haven't had that in such a long time.
Hi, Shane.
Oh, I know, and it's all you can eat, man. It's all you can eat shit.
Oh God, there's curry. This Japanese style curry. Yeah.
This time of day they have the bacon wrapped scallops too.
Oh, those I could like eat so many bacon wrapped scallops.
I would be tempted to go and join you, but I got to talk to my missus in about an hour. So
well, I'll tell you what. You and I will go have some sushi for sure. Then on it, let's do it on our own.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Well, we'll stream it live and torment everybody.
It'd be like nom nom
yum yum yum. Just smear it all over me.
Yeah, I'm putting wasabi on my
nipples. Oh no! We can't have Don. No Don.
Oh my God! You guys are turning me on, man. You gotta stop that. You're making me stumble. You're making me stumble. Here, guys.
Here, Duke.
Hey, guys.
Here you go, Duke. Take a look.
I am not doing that.
Hairy old guys with wasabi on their nipples is my weakness.
Uh-oh. Hairy old guys with wasabi. That's rather specific, I must say.
Hey, man. What can I say?
You may get lucky.
Awesome.
As long as I'm not fooling around with a girl, my wife should be all right with it.
You sure she's not going to tell you you're going to hell, right?
Oh, she's convinced I am already. Oh, that's one of the biggest things she fears is that I am going to die, and I will go to hell, and she will not be able to see me in heaven.
Oh,
okay. Sorry.
No, my wife is Roman Catholic, Filipino. So
Oh, lovely.
yeah, so there ain't no there's no theory of that nonsense.
That's what ended my marriage. That's
Really?
absolutely what ended my marriage. Absolutely, all day. Like I came out as an atheist, and it just ended my marriage. Like my ex-wife is a hardcore evangelical Christian.
Yeah.
So when I came out
Wow.
as an atheist,
Are you
Oh,
sure?
sorry,
pretty much
Dad.
Yeah. Are you sure it wasn't your strange taste for old men with wasabis on their nipples?
That might have had
that might have had something to do with it. That might have been a little factor. That might have been a little factor. You know, my strange affinity for old guy penis might have been a little bit of a factor in the thing. The hairier, the better. I mean, you know, if it's super hairy, like you can totally fillet the guy and floss your teeth at the same time. You know, it's fine.
Wait a second.
Why did I join this? That's okay.
Well, until you got here, there was nothing like this, so you caused it.
Probably. I usually do.
That's right. Nadine enters the chat, and everything goes to hell.
Yeah, it's usually what happens.
all good.
Come on. It goes
Okay.
to hell.
It's fine. It's fine. You just get some tweets. Fuck the hair back.
Did you at least win at poker tonight, or what?
No.
Did you... No,
Not even. Oh, for fuck's sakes. Queen 6, all fucking. Queen 6, all freaking night, driving me nuts. And then I got a couple of good hands. I won a couple of hands. I doubled up once. Like I said, screw it. At one point, can't remember what I had. It was Jack 4, I think. And Jack's has been coming up all night. And I'm like, screw it. All in. There's Jack 4 suited. I had a straight draw and a flush draw. And I was like, just a couple of big blinds. Went all in and I won it. I got the straight on the river. So it's like, okay.
Fuck, nice.
And then I won another hand, and it was a little bit, yeah. And then, well, it's a tournament, so you buy in your tournament. It's just a $20 tournament, but you buy in, and then you go home. And this last hand, it was like Queen 6 off suited, or even better, 9-2, 8-2. It's like, fuck, what can I do with that? And then I get the blinds were 8,000 for the big blind, and I had 22,000 left, and I turned over King Jack, and I was the next big blind. Well, I know those two cards were decent. It was King Jack suited, and we have a royal or a straight flush hand too. So if we win with a straight flush, you get the pot, and it's like $600 to $800 usually. And so I'm like, you know what? I could wait, have my blind come up, and Jack offsuit. Of course, a king didn't come up, and the flush didn't come up. It's like, for fuck's sakes.
You win some, you lose some. You got
exactly. It happens. It's where I get my. It's where I get my actual hugs.
Know when to walk away.
Know
when to run.
Know when to.
You got to call your
money when you're sitting at the table. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna go now. Bye-bye. I'm fucking dead.
Look at the
I love that.
I gotta go.
She's insane.
I love that song so much.
It is. It's a good song. Not when you're
losing.
No. Yeah.
No, you want to, because all you want to do is somebody start singing that, you just want to reach over and bitch slap them.
Yeah. I unfortunately, every time I see a 9-5 in my hand, I start humming Dolly Parton.
You realize that is a tell, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I usually fold them. But yeah, it was like I played the first hand, and there was one hand that I had 5 2 diamonds. I ended up with the flush, but the guy ahead of me went all in, and I thought he had a You know, he could have had a 6 of diamonds in his hand, and he would have had the better flush. Turns out he had the straight, not the flush, and I folded.
Oh well.
Yeah, that's. I think that's what dunked me. But oh well. What do you do? I have fun though, and that's where I get my actual live hugs. I give everybody hugs, but I don't get many live hugs.
Okay, there we go. I'm not sure why I'm the only one that's on the screen right now.
Well,
are you clicking? Are you highlighted with the white border?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I haven't been on the screen for a while now.
Yeah, usually it switches over, right?
Well, have you got Duke? Is one of us highlighted?
No.
Because Duke is up.
No, well, you're up now.
Click on Duke and click on all of us and off of us just to get the.
Click on Duke and kick that cunt out of the goddamn conversation.
He's not putting anything in.
I don't know. I don't know why it would be.
Oh, Duke works, you do work, and Neil works, but apparently I'm not working. I don't know why.
Yeah, no I'm not working. On my end, I'm not working. I see Duke.
Yeah, but I'm not coming online. I don't think my visuals are coming up.
Yeah, no, mine. Same thing here. Like I see Duke being broadcast. I don't know. How about? Oh, I haven't looked at this chat for a bit. Hi, Tatted.
That's an idea. Let's flip over.
No, you were on YouTube. We're switching back and forth.
Oh, okay, so it's just here on the.
Tatted in the chat. Is Tatted in the chat?
Tatted's there. Yeah, he says, "Lady,
comb your beard. Comb your beard, motherfucker. Comb it.
Oh, holy shit!
Trim that shit."
This whole time I've been using the chat and there's been like 3 things typed into it. And I had no idea that all this shit, I guess, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with my fucking...
You haven't got a clue what you're doing?
Tatted.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Shit, all this I missed earlier. I missed! Fucking
trim it. Knock it off.
Okay, I don't know. All my shit's fucking broken, apparently. I don't know what's going on here.
I can't see anything other than people's abbeys.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
You adjusted the audio level.
Tatted, I'm going to freaking meet you someday. I'm going to drug you. And while you're asleep, I'm going to trim your beard up. And make it look presentable.
There you go.
Who are you talking
about? I'm gonna put some curls in it, like the classic Greeks or the Babylonians. It's gonna be ridiculous.
Tatted wants an invite, but Neil's gonna shut her down soon.
Yeah, in a couple of minutes actually, because I gotta head out of here for some sushi.
Yep, lucky bastard.
I'm just gonna rub that in a little bit. There we go.
You can rub it all you want. The Duke of all Bananas does not abide sushi.
Yeah, I'm not really a sushi. I like my meat. I like meat cooked, including fish.
Oh man, you should try sashimi.
And chicken.
No, it's not. It's not that. I don't like seaweed.
I'm allergic to rice.
Tatted Atheist is like, sushi's gross.
Rice will make me go blind.
So
I don't want rice.
How can how?
Rice gives me a really, really, really bad headache.
Rice is just.
I know. I've got bad grain allergies and grass allergies, and rice is a grass. It's not gonna. It made me. I had a tablespoon once, and it made me go blind within like 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe it was MSG or something else. We were at a restaurant, and I had just Uncle Ben's white rice. Made it at home. I had a teaspoonful. Freaking killer headache. So I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have that anymore. Yeah, the headache was so bad. It was awful. Yeah. So I figured it just kind of gives me, like, swells everything up in here that it just kind of cuts out the optic nerves for a while. I don't know. That's what I figure happens is that it just...
Oh, shit.
What?
I'm on Twitter right now, and Brass is talking shit about how he's literally saying that these kids that are getting molested aren't that big a deal.
What? Did I miss something? I'm confused.
Like, you know, Brass, was it Brass something? I can't remember his full name. Derek the Extreme, Brass Wisdom. He's one of the Red Pill Religion crew.
Okay.
And so the White Engine.
Yeah.
God, I hate that guy. Can I say that? Can I say that?
Oh,
I despise that guy.
I know who you're referring to.
The White Engine. I despise that guy. He's got a head shape like a pear, for one. You can never trust somebody with a head shaped like a pear. But 301 priests inexcusably bugged little children over the past 70 years out of how many clergy? Question mark. Compare this to Nashville, where 611 cases of child abuse were reported this year in schools. Fedora tippers don't care about kids affected. They care about just their BS ideology. So basically what he's saying is that our calling out the Catholic Church for covering up and being complicit in child rape means that we don't care about child rape that happens in the schools, which is absolutely ludicrous.
What?
No. Yeah, no. This is a real thing. This is a real thing.
Yeah.
Like we just don't care. Like, here's the thing. It's funny to me because I don't give a shit what the fucking medium is. I do not care about the fucking medium. Like, if you had a purely atheist, secular fucking medium, it turned out they were raping kids, I would want to burn that to the fucking ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Burn it to the fucking ground. There would be no part of me where I would say, well, it would be bad for the secular movement to point it out. No, absolutely not. Burn these cunts to the ground.
Jail them all. Everybody that covered it up, that was complicit in covering it up, should go to jail for life. Like every single one of them.
Brass comes back. But Brass comes back with exactly. I compare it to the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, which triggered World War I. The pieces for the war were already in place. They just needed an excuse. Did a lot of the countries really care about his death? No. They cared only to extend it to the extent it served them. It's all right. So we've got one guy saying that the child rape is inexcusable, but it's not that bad when you compare it to rape that happens in schools. You got another guy coming in saying, well, yeah, exactly. It's like, it's like what started World War I. Nobody really cared about it, but they blew it up out of proportion and they made a fucking big deal about it. Like, Jesus.
You want to take them and just smack them and shake them a bit. It's like, my God, what the frick are you thinking?
Holy fucking Jesus crying into his beer after a night of fucking gay sex. How the fuck do you come up with this conclusion? Like, how do you come to any conclusion other than fuck the Catholic Church? There's no other fucking conclusion other than we have to square the circle. And the worst of it out is Brass is a deist. He has no fucking ties to any religion. He's just being a cunt at this point. God, I fucking hate these people.
I don't even know them.
It's hard. It's hard to not just absolutely despise these people. How do you apologize for child rape? How do you apologize for that? With a straight face. There is no good fucking way to do it.
No, there isn't.
If you're a theist, you find a way. Come on. We've seen it throughout history. They will excuse and apologize or find reasons to justify any and all acts, be it child rape, murder, genocide, invasion,
Yeah.
And it's not just the Christians. You can put the same on with the Jews, the Muslims, the Buddhists, the Jains, I guess. Every theology will use their power to excuse anything. In fact, theology is the main reason why, it's the main excuse we hairless apes use to be told, it's the main excuse we use just to excuse being total shits to our fellow man.
Yeah.
It is. It totally is. And it's one of the funny things because at least in 2 interviews I've done, one of the things I pointed out was, like atheism, my becoming an atheist didn't directly make me be anything, right? Because you can be an atheist and be anything, right? Yeah. You can be an atheist and be a conservative. You can be an atheist and be anything. Atheism is just, I don't believe in God. We all take it to different. We all take it to different levels. Some people say, "I don't believe in religion, but I'm agnostic about a deist God." I personally take it to the point where I say, "I don't believe in God." Period.
Yeah.
I don't see any good reason to believe in it.
Exactly.
But it doesn't connect me to anything else. But the interesting thing is, when I switched from being a Christian to being an atheist, it took the text, the Bible, out of the equation. I no longer had to square that circle. I no longer had to look at any fucking moral or ethical situation and try to square it with the Bible, which changed my entire perspective on ethics and morals.
Yeah.
And I think for the better. So
I never understood the Bible at all, ever.
Read it.
Yeah,
if you like horror, rape, murder, genocide.
Yeah, that's what I never understand. Yeah. I never had the desire to actually read the Bible. I had the Bible stories. That was enough to tell me that it was. You remember the books that they used to have in like the 70s. I don't know how long they had them for, but I'm 44, so I was in the 70s. And I had one of those. It was like a book made from construction paper with pink and blue and yellow and orange pages, and you had the different pages had different Bible stories on them, like for different colors.
I remember
with all
seeing
the
those
pictures and and like parents. That's the ones I never understood the Adam and Eve story. I never understood the Ark story. Like, if you don't think about it at all, it seems like it could be a nice story because they saved all the animals and some of the people. But the second you think about it just a little tiny bit, and even when I was a child, I never understood it.
Oh yeah, the minute you fucking take it apart. 11 million species of animal on a fucking boat.
Oh yeah,
11 million species of animal on a boat, 2x2 and 7x7. So 4 and fucking 14 on a boat. For a fucking god-awful amount of time.
Yeah, it's like...
it's the dumbest thing in the history of dumb things.
Well, you don't even have to go that far. The very first story, the Adam and Eve story. You don't even have to get past that story to make sure it makes no sense at all. Because
fucking snakes do not have vocal cords. So
no.
Who did fucking Cain marry? Who did Cain marry? Cain left out. He married people.
Before that, it makes no sense. Even before you get to that point.
Like why is there light before the sun?
And that for sure. And then Eve getting in trouble for wanting to have knowledge. That's what always pissed me off.
Well, it's not that she wanted knowledge. Let's face it, they were set up. Pure and simple.
Yeah, they were set up, but how do you teach a child without teaching a child?
Well, the thing is, you're an omnipotent, all-knowing, you know everything, and you're everywhere.
Made sense.
No, but you tell that to the likes of SJ or Ken Ham, and they'll bend themselves double to try to get around that one.
Oh, I know.
You can't talk to those assholes, though, man. Like, I literally pointed out, okay, you have a creation. That creation failed. That's your failure.
Yeah.
And some asshole came back to me literally and said, so if I write a computer program and it fails, it's my fault?
Yeah.
Yes.
You coded the fucking thing.
You absolute dumbass. If you wrote the fucking program and it failed, it's your fault that it failed. If I and it failed, that's my failure. The car didn't fucking fail. The thing that I create can't fail. It's my failure. If I create anything, it doesn't matter what it is. If I make something and it fails, the failure is on me.
Exactly.
Always. They're so goddamn like.
It drives you nuts. Drives you insane.
I spent like fucking 2 hours yesterday getting into it with Andrew Stradulatis.
Him. Yeah.
From the fucking Living Crew.
I don't know who it was. I spent 2 days talking to a guy when I commented on something AIG or Creation Museum or something. I was talking about something stupid. It was 2-3 days. I think Stephen Bauman was in on it, and Jackson Wheat was in on it, and everybody, like Mel was in on it, Scientist Mel and Jackson Wheat and Stephen Bauman, and they're like, but the Bible, it was a ridiculous 2 days.
But the sad thing is, whilst we have these little issues and fights and battles with theists, some of the little things we get to talk between ourselves can be quite interesting.
Oh, absolutely. I
mean, who was it? Steve McRae. He and I have been going at it now for about a day over the term invisible sky daddy. He says no.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
Yeah, I saw that. I was in on that for a bit, where I was like, I don't actually use the term invisible sky daddy.
I don't give a shit.
I can't think of a time where I've ever used. Well, no, it's not because I have a distaste for it. It just seems it's not something that's ever occurred to me. And so he put that out there, like, can atheists stop using the term invisible sky daddy? And I was like, my tweet in return was, look, dude, I don't really use that term, but I reserve the right to use it. And I understand why people do. Like, he came back, well, you need to stop asking theists to stop saying this and that. I can't remember exactly what it was he said, but it was like, stop saying something about scientism and whatever. And my response to him was, dude, first and foremost, no matter how hard I ask them, they're not going to stop doing that.
Exactly.
And it doesn't even matter. Like, I could not only not be asking them, I could be asking them to stop doing that and providing them with viable evidence as to why what they're saying is stupid. And they're still fucking doing it.
La 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 la. But my.
Mm-hmm.
But my irreducible complexity, my dumb shit that's been fucking just absolutely fucking trounced by science 100 fucking times over. They're not interested in hearing valid, reasonable arguments. They're interested in staying inside their echo chamber and pretending like we don't provide them with evidence when we provide them with evidence. And I mean, I actually really like Steve. I think Steve's a great dude. He's way smarter than I am. He's way better educated than I am. But I mean, and I get his point. Like, I've actually come out like with blog articles about things that I think put a stop on the conversation, like things that put where you get bogged down, right? And trying to say, hey, instead of approaching it this way, approach it the other way. You know what I mean? Like, and I've caught shit for that too. But I mean, I don't give a shit. Like my response was, I'll stop saying invisible sky daddy when they stop trying to read my fucking mind.
Yeah, yeah.
When they stop trying to tell me what I think and what I feel, I'll stop triggering their ass back. Fuck them.
Well, that's my thoughts too. It's like once they quit telling me that I'm not, that I have a religion. Once you guys, I don't have a religion. I'm an atheist, but not only that, I'm an anti-theist. And even if there was a God, even if he come up and pissed in my freaking face, I would tell him what for? And I kick his ass.
Well, the funny thing about anti-theism, to me, at least, and maybe I'm wrong about this, and somebody smarter than me will correct me. But the thing about anti-theism to me is, even if you were to accept a deist model of God, if you were to identify as a deist, you could still be an anti-theist.
Yeah.
It's just the opposition to religion as in general, right? So you don't even have to be an atheist to be an anti-theist.
Yeah. Well, I'm both an atheist and anti-theist because I just think it's all bad.
Oh no, I'm a hard atheist all day. There is no God. Like when people ask me, I never take the stance anymore of, well, I don't believe in the religions of man, but maybe there's a deist God. I don't know. Yeah. I say there is no God. And the reason I do that is because if you were to, even if all of the arguments that lend any credulity at all towards any God are all for a deist model, right? So it's all the same bullshit. An incorporeal, invisible, impersonal, non-interacting God. That God's existence is indecipherable to me from there being no God. So why would I take any stance other than there is no God, right? Even if science were able to provide evidence to show a creator God that was a deist model, it wouldn't change my life.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have to change any dogma. There's nothing about what I believe that changes the minute that is proved. So no, there is no God. And fuck you if you don't like it. And fuck everybody who don't like it. And all your fucking friends. And I'm here to be I'm here to be the small cog in the machine that kills religion. I won't see religion die in my time period, but I'm a small cog in the machine that's killing it.
Well, I've been told I'm immortal, so I don't age apparently. So
was that immortal or immoral?
Immortal.
Well, I'm both.
I've been told in here.
Yeah, you gotta go. Neil's gotta go.
Gotta cut in here because it's now 10:02 and I'm already 10 minutes past what I told him I'd be leaving.
Yeah, you better rock and roll, my friend.
Yes, I have to make my way out of here, go eat some chow. So,
yeah. Right, nice. And I gotta talk to my missus, so I gotta bugger off too.
Thanks for doing the show with me today, by the way.
Hey, no worries.
And, thanks for you guys for jumping into the after party. Duke, you're fucking always around. It's like it just doesn't go away, right?
It's because I love you so much, Neil.
Oh, wow. Feelings mutual, brother.
Thanks for having me on, dude. It's a privilege and it's a pleasure. And I enjoy it every time I do it. You're awesome. You guys are all awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. It was nice meeting you guys finally.
Yeah. we'll have to do it again.
Yes,
absolutely.
We will for sure.
And we'll have to, and you and I'll have to get together for some proper sushi one day.
Surprise! I'm tired of eating all that improper sushi.
Yeah, well, and Burnaby, come on, there's no good. No, it gets up to no.
Richmond, man, Richmond.
You gotta, yeah. Keep your humble. I want that. I want their that Japanese curry on right.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it a night because I'm out of here to go chow down on some all-you-can-eat sushi. So until next time, remember they call it faith because it ain't fucking knowledge. We'll see you guys next time.